exit ticket. The exit ticket says, suppose the school had 800 students and 40 teachers, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's what the exit ticket said. And then I asked you to give me the ratio of students to teachers. I asked you to give me the rate, and I asked you to give me the unit rate. Now, just about everybody gave me the ratio.
What about Brandon? Don't worry about Brandon. Don't worry about Brandon. Go worry about Brandon. Why you saying shit? Shit. I didn't even hit you. I'm gonna stand. Oh my god! I'm gonna beat you. Are you hitting me? Jarvis, what you doing?
Alice, that's you that got up? No, sir.
To get that pencil.
All right. So suppose a school has 800 students and 40 teachers, and I said the first thing I wanted you to do was give me the ratio of students to teachers. So that means, what are you gonna write first? 800. What do you want to write second?
40 teachers.
All right. So that was the first answer, which most people got that right. Now, what does that line in between the 800 and the 40 mean? No. What does that line mean? What does the line mean? No. It's a fraction bar. What does a fraction bar mean? To be what? Division. So that's 800 divided by 40. Right? So, to find the rate, all you had to do was divide 40 into 800. And that's 20. So the rate is 20 to 1. That's all the rate is, because remember, the rate has to be compared to 1. 20 students to 1 teacher. Okay? The unit rate is the part that's being compared to 1. What part is being compared to 1? 20. So our unit rate is 20. And that's it. Okay? That's it. That's all we had to do. All right.
We gonna get a gun on like that.
In the scenario.
All right. So we are going to look at a video on unit rate.
It's a road trip. Who wants to go with me? Who wants to go? Someone get in the car. Let's go. Grab the wheel. Let's ride the rates. A rate is used to measure a comparison of quantities. Yeah, it's used whenever two amounts of different units, both related. We can do this. I was on a road trip, driving in style. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I travel 50 miles, that's 1 hour, which means I'm cruising for sure at 50 miles per 1 hour or per hour for short. The rate shows us the miles that we travel. For each occur the number of hours. It tells us how many of one thing there are per the amount of another thing. Let's drive a little farther. At 50 miles per hour, if I drive 5 hours, how far would I go across this great land of ours? Multiply both units by the quantity of 5. 250 miles, one heck of a drive. I wonder how long it would take to get to Memphis at 50 miles per hour for that 100-mile distance. 50 goes into 100 how many times? Multiply both sides by 2, get a 2-hour drive. Multiply both sides by 2, get a 2-hour drive.
Rate is a ratio that we use when comparing two quantities of different units, like miles per gallon or dollars per hour. Units are different, play the radio louder. Rate is a ratio that we use when comparing two quantities of different units, like miles per gallon or dollars per hour. The units are different, play the radio louder.
Rates have two quantities, yeah, okay. One of them is 1, then that's the unit rate. You gone 100 miles in a 2-hour trip. The unit rate is 50 miles per hour, that's it. We ran out of cheese puffs, we really need snacks. That store has a sale, $6 for 3 bags. But how much is one bag if we're being precise? The cost of one unit is called the unit price. To find a unit rate, write your fraction on paper. With the unit that we're looking for in the denominator, we want the price per bag. It's easy enough, $6 over 3 bags of the cheesiest puffs. Wanna know how much one bag would be and the number of bags on the bottom is 3. And we wanna turn this number to 1, okay? Divided by 3 to get 1. Wait, we have to do the same to the top number 2. And 6 divided by 3 equals 2. That's $2 over 1 bag of cheesy puffs. A snack for $2. Cashier, bring me up.
Rate is a ratio that we use when comparing two quantities of different units, like miles per gallon or dollars per hour. The units are different, play the radio louder. Rate is a ratio that we use when comparing two quantities of different units, like miles per gallon or dollars per hour. The units are different, play the radio louder.
All right. So is a rate a ratio?
No.
Yes, it is. The only thing different about it's really no difference then between a ratio and a rate, is it? Two different units, right? The only thing that's different is the unit rate, and the unit rate is compared to 1. So a unit rate means how much one something is. That way you won't That's what I said. Alright, so if we're talking about ratio, which I think you know what ratios are now. I think you know how to write a ratio. I think you understand the ratio. The only thing we gotta get to now is if your denominator is not 1, you're gonna have to divide to get it to be 1. Okay? Because every time we divide, that's what we're finding a unit rate. All right, take out your instruction books and turn to page 12 and 13 in the instruction book. But then you will say page 12 and 13. That's what we're going to look at, the instruction book. All right, yesterday we talked about unit rates, right? It says ratios, rates, and unit rates are all comparisons. They compare one quantity to another quantity. Every ratio has a related rate. So if it's a ratio, that's the rate. It's a related rate, okay? Then every rate has a related unit rate. All right, so we have a rate, a ratio, then we have a rate, and then we have a unit rate. Okay, 115 miles for 5 hours. 115 miles for 5 hours. Can we write that as a ratio? 115 miles for 5 hours. Can we? Yes. What would that be? How would you write that? 115 over 5. All right. So that's my ratio. All right. So my rate is what? What would I have to do to find my rate? I would have to divide. So I'm going to divide 5 into 115. All right, Amy. How many 5s are in 11? 2. 5 times 2 is what, class? 10. Jarvis, how many 5s are in 15? 3. Because 5 times 3 is 15.
Interruption, Ms. Wilson, you're needed in room 143.
So, how can we write this?
You're needed in room 143.
23 over divide
23 what?
miles
Miles per
5 hours.
hour, which is 23 to 1, right? So if it takes me 1 hour to drive 23 miles, how many miles can I drive in 10 hours? What would I have to do?
Multiply.
Multiply what?
20 times 23.
And how many miles is that?
230.
230. You see? So these are equivalent ratios, right? Or equivalent rates. If you know how much 1 is to get to 10, all you gotta do is multiply by 10. It's easy if you know what 1 is, because then, now, in this case, to find 1, we have to do what? Divide. But in this case, to find 10, we have to what?
Multiply.
So that's the difference. If your bottom number is not 1, you have to divide. If your bottom number is 1, you multiply to get your answer. Okay, this is like a proportion. Remember they talked about proportion. If something is proportion, that means it's evenly, both parts are even, they're balanced. Okay, that's what a proportion is. All right, page 12. All right, page 12. All right, it says, let's explore the idea. A double number line can be used to find rate and unit rate. A car can travel 300 miles on 10 gallons of gas. So the ratio is 30 miles to 10 gallons, right? So how many miles is 1 gallon? Look at your chart. How many miles is 1 gallon? 30. All right. So what will go here? No. 2. What will go here? 3. 4. 5 is already here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is there. All right. So fill out the bottom part. We on page 13, Stanley. 12. 12 and 13. All right. Now let's look at the top. All right. If 1 mile is 30, 2 miles is what? 60. 3 miles.
90.
4 miles.
120.
5 miles.
150.
150 is already there. 6 miles.
180.
7 miles.
210.
8 miles.
240.
240. 9 miles.
270.
270. Good. So you should have your chart filled out, top and bottom. So basically, we're going by what? 3, right? And just put that 0 at the end. So do your 3 and add your 0. Everybody got that? All right, question 2. What do the 100 and the 10 in the diagram represent? The 300 and the 10, what do they represent? Brady. What does it represent?
It represents
No. What does the 300 represent? Mercedes. Miles. What does the 10 represent? Gallons. Good. So 300 miles and 10 gallons. Those are your totals. That's what the answer to number 2 is. 300 miles and 10 gallons. $300 miles and 10 gallons. That doesn't represent 300 to 10. I said 300 miles and 10 gallons. $300 miles and 10 gallons. All right. Question number 3. How many gallons does each section along the bottom number line represent? How many gallons does each part represent? The bottom? 1. Good. It's just 1. Because we're going by ones, right? We don't go by 10. All right. So we already filled those in. All right. Look at the corresponding pairs on top and bottom. Write a multiplication sentence to show how 10 gallons and 300 miles are related. What would you write? What multiplication sentence can you write to show
30 times 10.
30 times 10 equals what? 300. That's number 4. 10 times 30 equals 300. All right. How are 5 gallons and 150 miles related? What will we write? 5 times 30 equals 150. Good. How are 1 gallon and 30 miles related?
1 times 30.
1 times 30 equals 30. Number 5, use words to describe the relationship between the number of miles and each corresponding number of gallons. All right, so the number of miles is, you got to complete the sentence. The number of miles is, it says, use words to describe the relationship. So the number of miles is what? Huh? No. I know how many miles there are. I said the number of miles is blank to the number of gallons. So what would you put there? Huh? Somebody said, not 10 times,
30 times.
30 times. The number of miles is 30 times the number of gallons. The number of miles is 30 times the number of gallons.
That's on number 6.
Yes. No, baby, number 5. The number of miles is 30 times the number of gallons. The number of miles is 30 times the number of gallons. All right, number 6 says fill in the remaining, which we did. It says, what is the rate of miles per gallon for this car? What is the rate of miles per gallon?
30 over
30 miles to 1 gallon. Good. That's the rate. 30 miles to 1 gallon. Huh?
number 6.
Number 6.
We just did it.
30 miles per gallon. 30 miles per gallon. Now, what is the unit rate?
30 over
300.
300 over 10.
No, the unit rate.
30.
30.
I said one over.
Man, you ain't saying that.
He did. That's why I was looking at him. He said it, but I thought he was playing. All right. So number 7 is 30. Huh? You don't get what?
Number 7.
We divided 10 into 300 and got 30. Y'all did 300 divided by 10, right? It was a fraction. So 10 goes into 330 times. All right. All right, number 8. What pattern do you see in the number of miles? So if you look at your miles, what pattern is that?
30 and 30.
Multiples of 30. There are multiples of 30. Multiples, multiples. Multiples of 30. The first, multiples of 30. All right. Multiples of 30. That's what the miles. You're going by 30, 60. Now those are multiples of 30. All right. What pattern do you see in the number of gallons? What happens to the gallons?
They go down.
The gallons going down. Add 1. Good. The gallons are they're 1 more than the previous one, so you're adding 1 each time. Now look at all the corresponding numbers of miles and gallons. So describe that pattern. Looking at the miles, looking at the gallons. Okay. Miles is 30 times the gallon. Gallon is
1 time.
Add 1.
no gallons is miles divided by 30. All right. So the pattern is Miles is 30 times the gallon, right? Gallon is miles divided by 10. So how do you find the miles? Multiply by 30, right? How do you find the gallons? Divide by 30. That's why if you know your unit rate, you know what to multiply by or you know what to divide by. We divide by the same thing, which is 30. We either gonna multiply by 30 or divide by 30. You frowning, what that mean? Do you not understand what I'm saying?
I don't.
Oh, you get it? You don't? Okay. So your chart this is what your chart looks like. It was 30, 1, 60, 2, 93, 124. All right, so these are your miles and these are your gallons, right? So if we want to know the miles, all we do is multiply by 30. 30 times 1, 30 times 2, 30 times 3, 30 times 4. Right? So miles equals 30 times gallons. Right? Okay. So if we want to find our gallons, what do? We divide this times divided by 30. So to find our gallons, we do miles divided by 30. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going at the top, you're multiplying. If you're going from the bottom, you're dividing because you go from 60 to 2. That's a division problem, right? If you go from 1 to 30, that's a multiplication problem. So that's what I'm saying. If you want your miles, you multiply 30. If you want your gallons, you divide by 30. So that's your answer to number 9. That's your pattern. Miles is multiplied by 30. Gallons divide by 30.
We are number 10.
We on number 9. Number 10 says, write the ratio. So what is our ratio? What is our ratio? From the very beginning. 300 miles to 10 gallons. 300 miles to 10 gallons. 300 miles to 10 gallons.
Trayvon Riggs, you're needed in the office. Trayvon Riggs, you're needed in the office.
All right, the second part says, divide both quantities in the ratio by the second quantity and write a new ratio. So we got 300 divided by 10, and we're going to divide the top and the bottom by 10. What are we going to get? 30 to 1, right? So what is that called?
Rate.
30 to 1 is the rate. Good. 30 to 1 is the rate. That's the second part to number 10. 30 to 1 is your rate. Number 11, how can you find the related rate for a ratio? What do? So if we have this rate, okay, if we have 300 to 10, that's 30 to 1. All right, this is our ratio, and this is our rate. Now, question 10 says, how do you find the related rate for a ratio? You divide the first quantity by the second quantity. Because I divided both of these by what? What did I divide these by to get this? No, I didn't. I divided by the second. So you always divide the first by the second. And what did I say quantity was? What's a quantity? No, a quantity. When I say quantity, divide the first quantity by the second quantity. What is quantity? What am I doing? Dividing the first what?
First number.
The first number by the what? Second number. So quantity is what? It's just a number. But you're gonna see quantity. That's just vocabulary. Quantity means numbers. Remember I told you quality means describe yourself, and quantity means tell. If I say, give me a quantity about yourself. Oh, I'm 11 years old. But if I say, give me a quality, I have blonde hair. You see what I'm saying? That's quality versus quantity. I have 3 sisters or 2 sisters. That's a quantity. Okay? I'm a nice person. That's a quality. So quantity is numbers. Quality is a description, like an adjective. So you describe it. So when I say divide the first quantity, I mean get my first number divided by my second. That's 10 into 30. 10 into 300, which is, see, 30, 300 divided by 10 is 30. Okay, I took my first number divided by my second number. That's how you get a rate. Okay, you take the first quantity and divide it by the second. All right, so number 12 and 13. Okay, I'm going to let you do those 2 on your own. Whether you work with your group, a shoulder partner, a face partner, anybody, just do 12 and 13. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes to do 12 and 13. Well, yeah, 2 minutes. 2.5 minutes. Okay, do those 2 problems, Kenny.
Yeah, I know.
All right, come on. Stand with the we don't yeah. Okay, what you supposed to be doing? Do what? Work them out. Then you're looking for the what? Says write the rate and unit rate to describe the cost of the apple. So how do you do that? First, you gotta write a ratio. So write the ratio first.
We gotta write it in fractions.
Then you gotta write. Then you make it equivalent with the nothing you want. Then you gotta write the rate in.
Oh,
3 things you gotta do.
Right.
the 2 pound apple costs $12.50. And cost the number of pounds.
You turn around, look from behind you.
Find the equivalent fraction of the denominator will make the ratio. To describe the cost. We gotta
You should be answering.
the ratio.
Right?
12.50.
What's the word?
How did 12.50 we got a 10-pound box of apples?
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. Now, roll the ratio. Now find the rate. And how you gonna do this? See, this is how you do this. This is a 10-pound box of apples.
Stupid. Yeah, you know how much it costs.
So
That's
that's
like
like
that.
you're gonna divide
10-pound apples.
$12.
Who you like apples? They don't even cost them.
Layla, go back to your seat.
They call $1 thing.
We're not gonna put no chair right there. You're gonna work with Thomas, you work with somebody close to you, you work with Jemiah or D'Angelo or Demetri. She can work with whoever. You don't have to work with your friends. You work with whoever's sitting close to you.
They're so good.
You gonna call her there.
All right. So let's look at the first one. All right. It says a 10-pound box of apples costs $12.50. All right. So if a 10-pound box costs $12.50, what is our ratio?
12.50 over 10.
Good. 1250 to 10.
1.6.
All right? That's our ratio. The second thing says, write the rate. Well, find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 1. And how do we make a denominator of 1?
Divide.
Divide by, good. All right, so 1250 over 10, divided by 10 here, divide by 10 here. So 10 divided by 10 is what?
No, one.
1. Now we got to divide 10 into 1250. So 1250 divided by 10. Now, what do we do with this decimal here? Bring it to the top. How many 10s are in 12?
1.
1. How many 10s are in 25?
2.
How many 10s are in 50?
5.
All right, so this is 1 and 2,500. So that means what? $1.25 per what?
Bags of apples. I mean,
Per pound.
Per pound. Okay, $1.25 per pound. That's the answer to number 12. $1.25 per pound. Okay, so this is our ratio. This is our rate. Okay. And this is our unit rate, $1.25. So every time we go up, we're gonna go by $1.25, right? 1 pound, $1.25. 2 pounds, $2.50. 3 pounds, $3.75. 4 pounds, $5. Like that. It just keeps going by $1.25. All right, number 13. A driver traveled 260 miles on the highway for 4 hours. How do I write that as a ratio? 260 miles over to 4 hours. So that's 260 divided by 4. So I'm going to divide both of these by 4. What's going to be in my denominator? 1. Now I have to divide. How many 4s are in 26?
6.
How many 4s are in 20?
4. 3.
5.
4.
So what does this mean? 65 to 1. What does that mean?
65 miles for 1 hour.
Good. 65 miles per hour. Miles per hour. 65 miles per hour. 65 times turn around. 65 miles per hour. All right. The next thing we're going to do is a sorting activity. All right, so let me explain. You are going to get a number line with a fraction. All right, this is your number line with your fraction. You are going to take the number line and you're going to put equivalent fractions on this number line. Okay, you're going to have to work in a group, work together with each other. Put this on one person's desk, and then you all are going to have some fractions, but they have to be equivalent fractions. So I'm going to show you what equivalent fractions are again. Okay, now in order to have an equivalent fraction, just say we have the fraction 4/12. Somebody tell me another fraction that's the same thing as 4/12. 2 6. What's another fraction?
1/3.
1/3. What's another fraction?
1/3.
3 what?
3 6.
3
9.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So all those will be equivalent fractions. All right. So whatever your fraction is, it could be this one. How do you think they got 1/3? What did they do? Divide by what? 4. Divide by 4. All right. So how would you go from 1/3 to 2/6? Multiply by what? 2. How do you go from 1/3 to 3/9?
Multiply by 3.
Okay. So if you go from something small to something big, you multiply. If you go from something big to something small, you divide. But they are all what? Equal, right? Equivalent. All right. So you need to clear your desk so that you don't lose the fraction. Okay.
Clean up
So
your desk.
you want to make the fraction, and you have to put them. You're not gonna put them or anything. You're just gonna put them on the. You gotta look at the number line first. Okay. You gotta look at the number line.
You know, you gotta place it on the floor. Let go.
And then you all probably gonna have to get up and have like real quick so y'all can see. Get a look up. So after y'all are close. Okay, now I'm going to give you not long, so I need you to go ahead and get started. Okay? Go ahead and start. The group that gets it correct first, or not first, but the group that gets it correct, you all will get a treat. So I'm going to put 6 minutes on the clock. You can take these 6 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes.
How do you get 1/2 to 2/3?
Where was that half of the line? Is that half of the line? Where's half of the line?
Right here.
You gotta do the number line. They are number lines. What's the middle? What's gonna be in the middle?
1/2.
1/2. So that's your middle. 1/2. Okay, your middle is 1/2.
Who put 5 t-shirts?
That's what I said. The middle is 1/2. There's your 1/2. Okay. How many lines are on the number line? How many lines? Ladarian area. It's gotta be more than 10 lines. 12 lines. Good. So these are 12. They're broken into 12. So y'all go ahead and fill me in. Y'all need to get up over here so y'all can all participate. Get up. What I said the middle was.
We missing one. This is the 1 field.
You're not gonna have one. There's 12. How you gonna fill?
Why you don't go for it?
Come on, what's in the middle?
I got 1 feet.
I get ready to
I got 1 foot. You baby 12. You got 1 field.
Middle, 6.
Yo, Jarvis.
6 what?
6
6 what? What is 6 what? Give another.
She know how.
Okay.
And I don't count those people in my brain.
No, he's good. It's really complicated. I'm coming over here, Charles. I'm about to stick.
So, boy, you better sit down. I would say everybody that you like.
What did you do with it? Try to get us Stop playing with it. I got 10 types of straps.
Sound right.
Hey, Kenny, go back to your seat. So how's 212 one day? So where's 212 sit? Now, what's the other name? Like how can you reduce? The number would never be bigger than this.
Yes, it's your name.
Because one can go into anything. So remember I told you it's bigger than two. So it is. Alright, so divide that There you go. I'm coming.
She said 1 + 6 = 506. Oh no, what she said? We barely got smoke. We barely got everything. We got more than y'all anyway. I'm glad we got more than y'all.
Go back to your group. You don't know where we can't. We're not
We ain't
sharing.
trying to share. We ain't got smoke. We got
That's
smoke.
not it.
We got more than y'all anyway.
All right, what's the problem?
Don't worry.
What you
Everybody got two? You said 12?
Here's my hand.
Oh, it ain't gonna be cold.
You got to find your hand. That means the top number is half number. So it has to be right up into two groups. That's what has to
This
Come on, find a number that's half on the top number. Find me a number that's half.
812.
Another number.
Wait on the date.
That's fine.
Oh,
And 15.
the other one.
No, it's not. Yes, it is. We're not in slaves no more, though.
I don't get this up, Thomas.
I'm safe. They call me. Oh God, I ain't been right. You got an intro, but that's how you go. I'm just not gonna be the only one getting jumped.
It's like you did guitar. What's he still? You gonna go for it? And he just on his neck.
Like my leg.
You got great hair. God, you got great hair. Look at it, easy. But we don't know if this rock still got it.
Miss Clark. I go. Stay in your group. Get back over there.
He cheating on me.
So,
We got all
so everyone is broken up into 12. Alright? So this is 1 12. So let's
Oh, Rebello.
3. It can be 3. 3 divided by 9 is 3, and 3 divided by 4. Come over here.
No.
Get over here, man. Watch on my brother, man. Go pick it up.
No, we got 10, 12, 4, 2.
We got 2 big wrestling folks.
Move tight. No. Come and start with our thing.
Like, yeah, stop.
Three more. 34.
How you get 2
No, he didn't. We need help. We need help.
No.
Oh God, we actually should have done that. Who got him? This is
Dog shit.
Oh my Hey, Kiki, pull up my filters down, man.
They already got one, so start there. You always come below.
Oh, this one.
Hey, keep all this road. You make it. And what else?
Move.
Put that one down there.
Man, who thought it was
Mama,
I'm sorry, but who thought it was
you gotta see when you ain't got to share the group. Not one person still ain't gonna know what to do. So
It's looking around 30. No, he died.
Right.
Yo, we died.
You always start with the lowest one. And then y'all
I'll be back.
Right here. I'm coming. Hold on. Right there. Go back.
They can't be that girl.
If y'all miss them, they should be on the floor somewhere. And you see the benefits of doing for yourself.
I know when they go.
Mama Mercedes. Just tell him that one's wrong. Then if you can't get it, then you try to guide him to get. Don't ever make it the answer. Whatever give y'all now, just try to make y'all get it yourself. That way you don't. All right, make sure all your work is mine.
They stole my promise.
Hey, Maya, you back over here. Go back over there and stay in your group. And since y'all know it, y'all should have put them back over there. Put them back where they
Well, I ain't your teacher. He broke it.
Hey, stay over here in your group. Don't go nowhere else.
We finished. I gave it to him.
What number? Can't you leave it into it? Can't you leave it into it? What number?
We finished. Why you do that? No, right on your
What can go into 3 to 12? Can you? Can 2 go into 3? One can go. Don't do that. One can go into all. If y'all finish, just leave it there. I'll check and have a seat. Go back to your group outcome and say.
What you doing? No, can't do that.
If I go by 4. 4. I'm going by 4. Do your 4.
Charles, what you doing, man? Make you shut up.
No. Get back up here.
We finished. We gotta sit down. We can't do no more. We can't do no more. How you gonna put 5 to 12? Five by 3 equals 2. You can't put none in 5.
They won't get them. Cause all they doing is playing. Now here.
Who's loud? She called you against age boy. What are you doing in there? You like a monster.
No. Be quiet. Who changed that? name is Skinner Dog. She said she was going out. Give it to me. He coming over here cheating. Cheating.
Stop, what?
Get over here and sit down.
No. I need some work. You need
Because nothing, see, if you want to fight by three, what are you gonna do? That's right. You're not gonna get nine. That was right. Josh, your seat, mate. Your seat.
You finally got to. Oh God! You finally got to say something. You like this, right? Am I kidding me? Okay. I said I don't need help. TBT. How you doing? What a TTG. I said violation. So you Oh God, I am.
So it's a violation. No, that's your girlfriend. That's what
That's our Kenny.
Don't worry about it. All right, now. Y'all got y'all thumbs? If this is
We've been done. We've been done like 15 minutes.
you can go right there. Hold on, Dr. Corey. Let's see.
Then we say, no,
Keep going.
y'all love it, baby, you mom, sorry. Y'all love it, baby,
Baby,
mom.
after 6:12, you go after 6.
Now we been finished for an hour, right? Me. Y'all play. Kiki, do you love me? No. No. Yep, my Instagram.
I'm getting one for my
Quit doing that. You did them so bad.
All right. Everybody go to that group and have a seat.
He messed
I
my
know.
stuff up
I
now.
had already checked y'all. Y'all good. So erase the bottom. Don't erase the hand.
No tree, bro.
What third? All right, y'all have a seat, huh? What?
Ain't no money.
Ain't my shit.
One no.
God, get oh God, he can't. It's all. Why you play so much? What you?
Okay, y'all have a seat now. Have a seat. Just have a seat.
Hey. He saved you. If you don't squeeze like I talk.
The song said,
Walking like that sounds
All right, now we are. Why is he getting up? All right, we're going to go over the correct answers. Okay. Okay, we're going to go over the correct answers to the floor, and then we're gonna go to the bathroom. Then it's gonna be it for today.
I don't want to sleep.
All right. Now, I am a firm believer we're gonna have to go back over and look at this groups because we're gonna have to go over what groups should look like. First thing, group, you can't play in groups because groups are meant for you to learn. They aren't meant for you to play. Okay, the first thing you had to do because this was the number line was count your lines, right? So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So every line represents 12. So this is 12, 3, 12, 4, 12, 5, 12, 6, 12, 7, 12, 8, 12, 9, 12, 10, 12. This will be 11, and then that will be the next one. All right, now 212 is the same as what? Look at the card. What?
1 C.
1 C.
1
312 is the same as what?
1 4.
1 4 and
1, 2, 8.
2/8. 4/12 is the same as.
1/3.
And what else?
2, 6.
6/12.
2, 4.
So 4,
3,
1
6.
half, 3 6,
5/10.
5 10,
4, 8.
4 8. Good job.
Oh, yeah.
8 12 is the same as what?
I don't know.
8 12.
5, 6, no. 2,
So what we going to 8 12?
2/3.
8 2/3. What else?
6.
3 6.
What's half of both these?
4 6.
4 6. All right, 9 12.
3
What's
4.
another one? 3 4. And then multiply that by 2, you're going to get 6 8.
6 8.
All right, 10 12. All right, so what fractions equal 3 4? 9 12
12.
and 6 8. What fractions equal 1 half? You got 2 4, 3 6,
5,
1
5
8,
10.
5,
5 12.
5.
Okay. Let's see.
Say
All
5,
right.
6.
The marker. The marker. I need you to take all your little pieces and put on top of this. Look right down the floor. What piece is that?
Ah!
Cannon, stop.
Yeah, stepping on my face.
All right. Put your sword. Put all your numbers, erase that, and put all your numbers back on top of it. Make sure it's erased. Erase it.
Why you do that?
And put it on the table. Yes. Jarvis, go have a seat for me. Y'all know. All right, I still need 3 more. Take it to the table.
Let's see everything. Let's see everything. Now pick them all up too. Pick them up.
Kenny, come on, don't tear my stuff up.
Man, so
God, give it here. Don't worry about it. As soon as I get a break, I'm calling somebody for you. You don't have to care. I care enough to do it for you.
He did it too.
Y'all need to stop playing. I'm going to call his too. Because all y'all want to do is play. I don't have time for playing. So if y'all won't listen to me, y'all going to have to listen to your parents. Or listen to Miss Williams when she suspends you to go home. Demetrius, put that pencil up. I mean that marker. Ariel, you better stop playing. Put it back there and bring it back. All right, girls line up for the restroom. I didn't say talk. I said line up for the restroom. Boys, line up.
Corey, hey. I will show you too. Show you, Corey. You throw the fingers, huh?
Let's go.
Oh, I'm gonna see.
Get off that computer.
I'm gonna make a new.